Welcome to the Undiscovered Gems podcast, hosted by NBA legend and business powerhouse Charles D. Smith, highlighting today's best and brightest business minds.
Welcome. My name is Charles Smith, and welcome to Undiscovered Gems. Today we have a guest, and a very interesting guest, from financial analyst to Pilates instructor to yoga and meditation. I can't wait to hear her story. Today we have with us Lisa Deveaux. Lisa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I know that you hail from Brooklyn and you're doing a lot. I'm just going to hop right into it, Lisa. Why Pilates? Of all the things you can do, working out, why Pilates?
Well, I don't really like to exercise, but Pilates, I think, appeals to me because it's a mindful movement practice. So I can still move, I can still tone, I can still stretch, I can still maintain my balance and get great mobility. And there's just something about it. It's almost one of those things that's unexplainable what it does for me mentally and physically.
Well, let me ask you, is your job stressful? You kind of do this in the evenings. I look at it as a way, you're an instructor, but you get to do it, you get off work, and it's kind of, is it an outlet also, mentally? Is it a stressful outlet?
Definitely. It's definitely an outlet. I wouldn't say my job is super stressful, my regular job, but there are times when it can be. And it is an excellent outlet to just help me breathe and reconnect to myself, reconnect to my center with
Got it.
for sure.
Got it. And the name of your company is called Brown Skin Wellness. How did you come up with that name?
I came up with that name because actually a colleague who reached out to me and said, I want you to do a program for me. And I didn't want to do it. Like, I sat on it. She's like, I want you to do a wellness program for me. And I said, well, what are you looking for? And she said, I don't know, but I just want you to do the Pilates. And I said, well, wellness is more than Pilates. And I sat on it for probably 9 months. And she came back to me again and she said, I need you to do this program for me. And so I thought about it and I reached out to some colleagues and I said, help me put a proposal together. And literally within 30 days, I created the company. I got the insurance. I put all the things in place to establish it as a legitimate company so that I could deliver the program for them. And they were a nonprofit organization. And so from that, I said, well, what speaks to me? My dad always called me Coco Brown. So I was like, I'm a brown skin girl, brown skin wellness.
Nice. And now what do you get, what do you personally get out of it? Dealing with clients and what type of clients do you have?
We service all types of clients. Whether you're brown or not brown, we will work with you. We work with corporate clients. We work with individuals. I think personally for me, what I get out of it is knowing that I have actually contributed to someone's healing journey, whether it's physical or mental. A lot of times people struggle with pain in their bodies or pain with their joints. And Pilates itself helps support that. But even beyond that, when I collaborate with other practitioners and we bring in yoga or meditation or even other modalities, people are able to use that not just physically, but mentally. The mental connection, the ability to alleviate stress and anxiety, and to just feel good and to become more self-aware is empowering for people. And knowing that we contributed to their healing journeys is extremely fulfilling.
You've mentioned healing and healing journeys a couple times. So you have people that come in they have pain, maybe emotional duress, they're going through change in their life, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. How have you seen your gift of Pilates helping people. Can you give us an example of a potential client that stands out?
I have some clients that I work with virtually that are in North Carolina, and we started working together during the pandemic. And I
Mm,
started teaching mat Pilates over Zoom because everybody was home. And
yeah.
during that time, we worked together 4 days a week. I think I was doing it, and it was donation based. I wasn't even charging people really at the time because we just all wanted to connect. We connected through that community. I had up to 20 people in a Zoom, probably three to four times a week. And one of the things that I do when I start teaching Pilates, and not all instructors do this, is I just start by breathing. I said, let's just breathe, let's just pause, let's just
Sure.
connect to the breath. And I take about 3 to 5 minutes to just breathe. And I have had clients come back to me and tell me, I hear your voice in my head, and it has helped me alleviate my anxiety. It has helped me when I'm in the middle of a meeting. And one of the things I say all the time is you can breathe through anything in this life. And as long as you can breathe through it, you can get through it.
That's very interesting. Yeah, your voice becomes associated with healing because as you're talking to them and they're dealing with you on a daily basis, I could see that. Well, it's good that you have a soothing voice. Well, let me ask you, since you've had the Pilates practice, there's a lot of people out there that are listening that really don't know about Pilates. I know about cables and cords, but
Mhm.
you're also able to do it, like you said, virtually through Zoom. Can you explain that to the audience, the different types of Pilates and how it's done?
Sure. So you can do Pilates on the mat. You don't need any equipment. You can be right at home. You can do it on the mat. Um, there's 34 original mat exercises. The exercises can be customized based on what's going on in your body because you'd be surprised. Not everybody can lift their leg up, right? Some people can barely, walk, or they have stiffness in their body. And as because of that, they can't move. You can absolutely get on your mat with the mat and just do some functional movement. You'd be surprised by just the little things in your home that you can use to
Mhm.
really get mobility. You can use a towel. You could take 2 soup cans, and just start seeing what your range of motion is and just start moving. We do have some props that we might use, a yoga block, or even if you don't have a yoga block, take a blanket, fold it up, and it'll give you, position your hips in a different way. You sit on it, to take pressure off of your hips. There's
Mm,
different stretching that we can do to help you get into a movement. So before we even get to some of the core Pilates movements, we can do some functional movement just to see what your mobility is, what your range of motion is, what your capabilities are. So it's
mm,
definitely something you can do whether on the mat or in the equipment. The equipment was actually designed to make the mat work easier. So some people say the mat work is actually harder because it's all you, it's all your muscles, it's all your movement with those muscles. The
right.
springs kind of help you get there. Like it gives you that lift, right? It helps you train, for example, maybe train the core, train the abdominals to do the movement. So there's different ways it can be applied. Everything you can do on the mat, you can do on every piece of equipment. We have
Mm,
the trapeze table, we have the reformer, we have the wonder chair, we have the ladder barrel, and then we have the arc. You can get an arc, and you can use that for home use because an arc is very affordable, and you could put that on the mat, and you can get into all the lateral body, the side movements with the obliques, get into the
mm.
lats. There's all different ways because it's a total body movement practice. So there's all different ways you can get into the practice for sure.
do you provide consulting to people in their homes with equipment,
Yes.
those sorts of things?
If someone had equipment in their home, I absolutely would. We can schedule an appointment. I can come to your home if you have equipment, if you prefer that type of service. We can also do it virtually once I'm familiar with your body. But yes, I definitely do those types of things as well.
What about people who want to purchase equipment and create their own Pilates environment in their home? Do you consult with that as well?
Yes, we can provide those consulting services, and someone who may not be familiar with the work would probably need that because you can hurt yourself if you don't know how to properly use the equipment and really have the appropriate alignment. So yes, definitely provide those consulting services as well.
Right. Clearly, Lisa, it's your second profession, and you're very knowledgeable. So, who are some of the mentors and people that have helped you along your way in Pilates for you to be where you are today?
Oh, one of my favorite instructors is probably Maria Earle. She actually lives in Barcelona, Spain. I met
Mm,
her during the pandemic through social media and she started a book club for movers. She hosts these advanced movers series where she does reformer, mat, and chair over Zoom. And I trained with her probably for 3 or 4 years and met her for the first time last December when I went to Barcelona in person, which was amazing. But that Maria Earle was definitely one. She's influenced by a Pilates elder, Kathy Grant. Maria
mm,
also connected me with a local instructor, also influenced by Kathy Grant, Kara Reeser. I did Kara Reese's Heritage Training Program, which gets into all the deep work that Kathy Grant did and her influence in the Pilates movement, which was really interesting. She does all these interesting things with cats because Joseph Pilates studied lions and cats and the way they move and how you can like twist and turn and stretch. And we do all these cat moves to imitate the cat. So I learned a lot of that from Kara Risa and a lot of really fundamental principles that go deeper into the work that kind of go beyond what you might get from a regular teacher training program.
mm. Why cats? Why? I kind of get it, but I want you to explain it. Um, there are all sorts of four-legged creatures and animals. Why cats?
Well, I think cats because the spine is designed to move in all planes of motion. So flexion, extension, lateral flexion, lateral extension, and then rotation. And cats are the one animal that can do all of that. Cats can twist the spine, right? They can go into rotation, they can go into flexion. If you ever see a cat stretch its arms out and then kind of arch its back, right? And we can do the same thing. If you see a cat that's
Mm,
like ready to pounce, you see that cat, kind of scoop into their abs and they get this round C curve with the back. And all of
mm,
those are definitely moves that humans can do with their bodies as well. So a lot of similarities between what the cat does with their spine and what we do with, or what we can do, what we can do when we lubricate all those joints to keep it flexible, to keep that mobility going.
right now, Lisa, the baby boomers are out there, but as people age, they
Mhm.
tend to talking about spine. The back is one of the I give hips in there too, backs, knees, and hips. But the back is kind of the anchor, the low back,
Mhm.
where
Lower back.
the core.
Mhm.
Most people have a lot of low back pain.
Yep.
I think and as you get older, if you don't take care of it, it gets worse very fast.
Yes.
How prevent that? And what should people do when they start to experience a little low back pain?
When you start to experience a lot of low back pain, you need to figure out what might be causing it. How often are you sitting? If you sit all day, more than likely that psoas muscle, there's the muscle called the psoas. It goes from the front of the femur bone all the way, extends back to the back, attaches to the spine. That probably needs to be looked at, right? That's probably something that needs to be looked at. Going into a lateral stretch where you just have your foot flat on the floor, not taking the heel up, extending your arm up overhead and just going into a stretch, opening up the side body probably can help. But I would say go to either a stretch lab, try yoga, or even a Pilates instructor and figure out, well, what's my hip mobility, right? Because it's all connected, right? So stretching, yoga, and Pilates can definitely help that. And, consulting and paying attention to how often am I sitting? Am I sitting all day? Do I drive all day? I'm actually working with a gentleman who is a bus driver, and he drives all the time, and he's sitting all the time, and he has very limited hip mobility. Well, we need to do some movements to just get him to lengthen those muscles so that he can increase his range of motion in his hips. Mm-hmm. Because if he doesn't start moving in that way, as he gets older, he's 55 now, as he gets older, he's not going to be able to move. He's not going to be able to walk. So it's really important to keep moving it so you don't lose it.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned the psoas muscle, because I firmly believe that is the crux of when the psoas gets tight, it pulls your groin and everything inward.
Yes.
And now to get to that psoas muscle, to not just stretch it, but to work on it, you got to go deep into the groin, and it's a hard muscle to get to. So I can see where Pilates can be an aid to that, but yes, the psoas muscle is very important. Now, when you talk about, again, low back pain, you hear a lot about people when they get older. My mom, a lot of people, when you step on your heel. Mm-hmm. When you're walking, you step on your heel, you start to feel it in your back, and you find, because the body is made of 90-degree angles, when something is out of whack, pressure is being put somewhere on something, and it's off balance.
Yeah.
Would you say that Pilates is, I don't want to say cure-all, but Pilates does a lot of keeping your body at 90-degree angles? Your shoulders, your hips, your knees in alignment. Do you think the same way, or expand on, pain and pressures in the body being off balance when your joints are out of alignment?
Right. So because it's an entire chain, because it's all connected, right? If you want to improve that balance. So one of the things I would say, Pilates is good with footwork. We stand on our feet. Your feet support all the weight for that entire body. So like if I'm 175 pounds, my feet, or that's the foundation. My feet connect to that floor, my feet, my ankles. All the muscles in that foot need to be worked. And because we wear shoes and, we go through life or whatever, we're not necessarily exercising all the muscles in that foot. Pilates, especially if you're working on the reformer or on the chair, you can really go deep into those foot muscles, and it will support the balance. It can the muscles in your feet can take pressure off your knee. Working the muscles in your feet can take pressure off the hip. Now, an easy way to get into footwork at home, without going and using any equipment, is to go into Five Below, get a pinky ball, And I have one around here somewhere, not handy, but a pinky ball.
I
You
wish
take
it was.
the ball. You want to see the ball?
But you got my attention on this about the because a lot of people get a lot of my people that run and jog and they do a lot on their feet, but they don't necessarily exercise your feet. So I get what
Gotta
you're saying. Okay.
exercise the feet. So if you get a pinky ball, you can get these on Amazon. You can get this at Five Below, right? And you take the toes. I'm going to use my hand as the example. And you just curl the toes over the top, spread the toes, press the heel into the floor, and hold that for about 10 seconds and breathe. Then roll it into the arch of the foot, curl the toes over the top, curl the heel over the top, press into that ball, work the muscles in the arch. It's not easy to do, but necessary. Hold that. And then press into the heel, dorsiflex that foot, press the heel in. This is good if you have plantar fasciitis. This is good if you get a cramp in your foot and you're like, what is happening here? This is good. You can massage it, roll it underneath, and that's exercising the muscles in the foot. This is just one of the ways you can easily work those muscles at home. It'll help you. It'll support your balance. It'll get those muscles working. And it works all the way up the chain, right? So it'll help the ankles. It'll help the knees. It'll help the hips. It works all the way up the chain because the foot is the foundation. I found out during the pandemic, I was in Barbados for a period of time, and I would walk up and down the beach barefoot. And one day I was walking with a friend, and we just walked up and down the beach, up and down the beach, up and down the beach. That's all we did. And every time we got to the end, we would do some movements. We would do all these Pilates movements and twist and whatever, and then walk up and down. We must have did that, I don't know, for more than an hour. And that night, I was like so sore the next day. I was like, I didn't do anything. And then I said, oh, look, dum-dum, you were walking up and down the beach. You exercised every muscle in the bottom of those feet, and it went all the way up the chain. My entire body felt it because the sand is not a flat surface. It's uneven. And because we don't live a lifestyle where we're walking on rocks or on sand or whatever, we don't feel that. An interesting thing, when I was in Bali, we climbed Mount Batur, and the people that were guiding us up the mountain climbed that mountain in flip-flops or bare feet. And we all had on mountain shoes and boots and sneakers or whatever. These people climbed it in their bare feet in flip-flops, and they do it every day, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're exercising the muscles in those foot. That was foreign to me as an American. Like, I don't do that, but it makes a difference.
Makes total sense. The ball that you're referring to, the pinky ball, sounds like people can do that while watching TV.
You could do this while you're watching TV.
While you're at work, if you got a desk, take your shoe off.
Exactly.
And that's something that, and exercising the feet, now that you say that, is so critical and important, because it's really our feet that's going to carry us through this life, and our legs.
Yeah.
And we got to take care of them. So I appreciate you getting the ball and sharing that. One other thing, and we're slowly coming to a close, and I got like so many other questions I'm trying to get in, but you mentioned uneven terrain. How important is it, or is it important to exercise or do Pilates in working the body in uneven ways for the body to respond to maintain the core and balance and do the exercises? Or is that an advanced feature, for somebody starting out?
I think uneven terrain is one thing, right? I think what you want to get from the experience is to recognize the imbalances in your own body, right?
Mm,
Because
mhm.
some of us are right-handed, some of us are left-handed. You're going to favor one side over the other. I'm right-handed, but I can tell you for me personally, my right hip, my right side, my right glute is lazier than my left. It doesn't fire
Mm,
up as much. And I can feel the difference. It's probably connected to my psoas, right? I
mhm.
need to lengthen more on the right side than I do maybe on the left because of the way I walk or just the way my genetics, how I'm made, right? Pilates is one of those things that's going to tell you what's happening, right? Which side is more dominant because there's one side that's more dominant. I think you want to recognize what side you favor more. Am I stronger on the left? Is my left shoulder more, because what happens is you get an injury, right? And you overcompensate on the other side, right? Because this side isn't moving the way it should, right? And then sometimes as a result of that, that side gets favored, the other side gets weaker because now because of the injury, the body responds that way mentally. That's what the body thinks it needs to do. You want to get that balance. Pilates can help you get there because it's going to call out for you where those imbalances are, right? People have
Right.
all different kinds of things going on. You have scoliosis. People's psoas are tight. They feel that pressure on the sciatic nerve, right? Which is why people talk about sciatica in the lower back. A lot of that
Sure.
is connected to that psoas, right?
Right.
Um, I have a friend that did a hip replacement. She delayed her hip replacement surgery by doing Pilates because
Mhm.
she was able to increase her range of motion and her mobility by doing it 3 or 4 days a week. So there's all different scenarios, all different things, and it's different for everybody. So if
Right.
you can get with an instructor one-on-one or even do a two-on-one, like a duet or really small classes, like no more than 4 or 5 people, you'll get more individualized attention.
Got it. And Lisa, we're slowly coming to a close, and I got just one more question. And I want you to wrap it up to kind of give the audience a summary of our discussion. But one last thing, your IT band, your iliotibial,
Yes.
if I'm enunciating it the right way,
Yep.
but that muscle going down the side of your thigh that gets fused.
Yep.
When it's fused and it's not separated, it causes discomfort, and people don't even realize it's coming from there. Talk about that a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. So one of the things you can do really easily is you could take a yoga strap, put it on the ball of the foot, right by the what might be your bunion. Take that leg straight up in the air, dorsiflex the foot, press that heel up to the ceiling, take that leg across the body, stretch that IT band, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
that's good for the IT band as well as those tight hamstrings. So take it
Right.
across, point and flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, deepen the stretch if it's available to you, and then bring it back. That IT band is really key. That's yeah, for
I,
sure.
I might have I might have to make a trip to Brooklyn in the evening, maybe. So let's wrap it up. Look, we had a great discussion on a lot of different subject matter uh, on Pilates, what Pilates can do for people, and mainly healing in pain. So, what do you want to tell the audience about your practice and what Pilates can do for them? Your website is on the bottom, www.brownskinwellness.com. Lisa, you're the professional of the year, and now we see why. I want the audience to understand you don't have to be a doctor to understand certain practices. You just have to be knowledgeable and be into it for a long, extended period of time. And you're an example of that. And that's why you're a professional year. So wrap it up for us on Pilates.
You don't need much. 10 or 20 minutes a day is very effective. It doesn't require an hour. It doesn't require 2 hours of time. You can be really effective with functional movement and see results just 20 minutes a day. That's all you need. 20 minutes a day.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your professionalism, and your understanding of your practice. I think this video that people can hear from you on will be very helpful for them. And I would tell a lot of the older people to watch this over and over again, because the information that you parted on to them could be very helpful. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm Charles D. Smith, wrapping up Undiscovered Gems. Thank you for coming, and see you next time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Undiscovered Gems with our host, Charles D. Smith, highlighting today's best and brightest business minds. Brought to you by Pods Entertainment Group.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.